They told me the cruise was full. Even the neighbors got a cabin except me, so I mailed them a postcard. No yelling, no reply, just everything I ever paid for itemized. They opened it mid-sea. I didn't ask why they left me behind. I already knew. Brandon's girlfriend got a spot, so did Aunt Mel. But me. Apparently, I'm too independent. I didn't cry, didn't call, didn't beg for a seat on their luxury boat. I just wrote a few numbers. In black ink, on cream cardstock. And when they opened that postcard, even the ocean went quiet. I used to think being dependable was a compliment. Now I know it's just a quiet way to say, "You'll carry this right." The first time I bailed them out, I was 23, Dad lost his job, mortgage was 2 months behind. I wired the money before he asked. He said thanks once, then changed the subject. It didn't feel like much. I had a good job. I was lucky. That's what Mom always said. "You've always been our steady one, Nathan." So I covered groceries when Mom's hours got cut. Then Brandon crashed his car, and somehow the loan was in my name. I paid it off. Quietly. Birthdays got smaller for me, bigger for him. He got a new laptop. I got a card signed, not handwritten. Still, I didn't say anything. That's what family does, right? I remember Thanksgiving 2 years ago. I'd paid for the turkey, the sides, even the fancy centerpiece Mom insisted on. But when it was time for the family photo, Mom handed me the phone. "You take it, sweetheart. We just want the family in this one." I laughed. Because what else do you do Christmas last year? I gave Brandon a $500 gift card. He gave me a coffee mug that said, "World's okayest brother." I didn't keep it, but the real shift came last spring. Their landlord raised the rent. Dad called in a panic. I said I'd handle it just until things stabilized. 6 months later, I was still paying. Brandon lost another job. Mom said he was just figuring things out. I'd been working since I was 16. Every time they needed help, I stepped in. Hospital bills, vet bills, late utilities. I was the net beneath the family trapeze act. But I was never invited to the spotlight. When Brandon got accepted to a local business course, I paid the deposit. When he dropped out a month later, no one mentioned a refund. When I brought up finances, how tight things were getting, Mom said gently, "Don't be selfish, Nathan. You know how hard it is for your brother." Selfish. That word echoed. I remembered asking once, just once, why I didn't get the same support. Mom smiled and said, "Because you don't need it. You're our strong one." Translation. You're not allowed to be tired. Every time I hinted at pulling back, I became the bad guy. Dad would go quiet. Brandon would sulk. Mom would guilt trip. So I kept paying, kept helping, kept being the good son. But every year, I felt myself disappearing. At family dinners, they talked about each other like I wasn't there. When Brandon got promoted, they toasted him like he cured cancer. When I got my own apartment, they didn't even visit. Mom once told me, "You've always been so independent, honey. We just didn't want to interfere." Interfere. As if love was interference. Then came the cruise, a once-in-a-lifetime family trip. I heard about it in passing, some vague plans still up in the air. Then I saw the group photo, everyone smiling, tropical drinks in hand. Even Brandon's girlfriend. Even the neighbors. I checked my inbox. There it was. The email. Sent 2 weeks ago. "Nathan, just wanted to let you know there's a limit to how many people can join. We figured you wouldn't be interested in something so crowded. Hope you understand. Love, Mom." No call. No conversation. Just assumption. Just erasure. And beneath it, an unspoken message. "You're good enough to pay for us, but not good enough to be with us." At first, I told myself it was fine. Maybe it was a budget issue. Maybe I really had been too distant lately. I didn't want to believe it was personal. So I scrolled through the group photos with a numb smile, tried to laugh at Brandon's goofy hat, tried not to notice that no one had mentioned me in the comments. Then I found it. A screenshot Brandon accidentally uploaded to the shared album. It wasn't a photo, it was a group chat, titled Cruise Corps, Family Only. I clicked in. There was Mom, Dad, Brandon, even Aunt Lynn, and they were planning everything menus, excursions, matching shirts. No one had thought to hide it, because I wasn't in it. One message stuck out. "Mom, should we ask Nathan if he wants to come? Brandon lol. Why he hates this stuff. He'll just kill the vibe." Then Mom again. "He's always so independent. I'm sure he won't mind." No one objected, not even Dad. They moved on to dinner reservations, and I just stared. The words blurred, but the meaning was sharp. I wasn't invited, not because of space, not because of money, but because they didn't want me, because I was convenient, not loved, because I was a wallet with a name. My throat felt tight. Not from tears, just pressure, like my body was finally catching up to a truth my mind had been avoiding. All those years, all those holidays I'd rearranged my schedule for, all the emergencies I'd quietly solved, and this was what I got. They didn't even think I'd care. My phone buzzed. It was Brandon, a selfie on the deck. Wanna guess how many shrimp I just ate? I didn't answer. 10 minutes later, Mom texted, "Thinking of you, honey. Hope you're doing okay. The weather's amazing here. So relaxing." As if that was comfort. As if a cheap sentence made up for a lifetime of being overlooked. I stood in my kitchen staring at the blinking cursor in our family group chat. I could have said something. I could have asked, "Why didn't you include me?" But I knew what would come. Excuses, deflection, that same tight smile Mom always used when she didn't want to admit she was wrong. So I didn't type. I opened my email. Pulled up last month's cruise invoice. The deposit had been charged to my card just for convenience, Mom had said. I checked the amount. $3,200. My name wasn't on the guest list, but my money was. I felt something shift inside. Not rage, not even sadness. Just a clean-cutting clarity. It was never going to change. No matter how much I gave, they would always treat me like I was optional, unless I stopped playing along. I walked to my desk, pulled out a single blank postcard from the drawer. The front had a photo of a rocky shoreline, gray waves crashing against dark cliffs. A bit dramatic, maybe, but fitting. I clicked my pen open, and for the first time in years, I didn't write to explain. I didn't write to please. I wrote to remind. I didn't write much, just enough to make them remember. On the postcard, I listed the things I'd covered over the past 3 years. Mortgage, $11,400. Brandon's tuition deposit, $1,000. Dad's heart meds, $320. Christmas, 2021, $980. Cruise deposit, $3,200. At the bottom, I added a sentence, "No need to thank me. This was the last time." Then I signed it neat and clean. Nathan, I mailed it to their cruise cabin. Yes, I paid extra to have it delivered directly on board. I imagined the silence that would follow, the way Mom's hand would shake, how Brandon would scoff but not say a word. But that wasn't the real twist. While they were sipping cocktails and posting sunset selfies, I was canceling every safety net they took for granted. First, the joint account I'd set up for family emergencies. Gone. Then the auto payments for their rent and utilities. Click. Disabled. Brandon's gas card. Blocked. The spare credit card Mom used just for groceries deactivated. I even called the cruise company, told them the card used for the final payment was compromised. By the next morning, their cabin key wasn't working. The front desk asked for an alternate card. They called me. First Mom, then Brandon, then Dad. I let it ring. Back-to-back voicemails stacked up like bricks. Mom's voice started calm. "Nathan, something's wrong with the card. Just call me, okay?" Then tense. "We're stranded here. This is embarrassing. What are you doing?" Then, sharp. "You're being childish. Grow up and fix it." Brandon's messages were more colorful. "You think this is funny, bro? We're literally stuck. The Wi-Fi costs $80 a day. Just fix it." I didn't respond. Instead, I poured myself coffee, walked out onto my tiny balcony, let the wind hit my face. For the first time, I wasn't scrambling to fix something. I wasn't rescuing anyone. I was letting the silence speak for me. By the third day, I finally picked up a call from Dad. His voice was strained but polite. "Nathan, look, we don't know what's going on, but your mom is really upset. The payment failed. Can you just help out? We'll talk about it after the trip." I said one sentence. "You booked a cruise without me. You can fix it without me." Then I hung up. They didn't call again that day. The next message was from the cruise company. They needed a new payment method, or they'd be removing the add-ons and excursions. That meant no spa days, no specialty dining, no sunset parasailing for Brandon and his girlfriend. I smiled. I wasn't being cruel. I was being done. I wasn't their emergency plan anymore. Wasn't the invisible backbone of their adventures. They'd made it clear I wasn't part of the family. So I stopped acting like I was. A week later, they came home. No one said anything. Not at first. Then I got a letter, an actual paper letter from Mom. She said the trip was ruined, that they had to downgrade halfway through, that Brandon's girlfriend cried, that Dad was humiliated, that it was unfair. But the line that stood out most was this: "You really blindsided us. That wasn't like you." She was right. It wasn't like the old me. The old me would have apologized, would have wired the money the second she called, would have paid the penalty fee and sent flowers. But not this time, because this time I wasn't trying to be the good son. I was just being honest. They wrote again, said they wanted to talk things out. I wrote back one sentence: "You taught me family means sacrifice." Then I added a second: "So I sacrificed you." Weeks passed. No one called, no group texts, no surprise visits, just silence. At first it felt strange, like I was forgetting something important, some background noise that used to fill every corner of my life. But then I realized it was peace. I woke up without dread. No 6 a.m. texts asking for just a small loan, no last-minute calls about overdue bills or forgotten birthdays. I started cooking again. Not for guests, just for me. I hiked, I read, I went a whole week without checking my phone. Then one morning, a text arrived. From a number I didn't recognize at first. It was Brandon. "Dad lost his job. Can we talk?" I stared at it, then closed my phone. An hour later, another one came, Mom this time. "We're struggling, Nathan. We've lost the house. We need help. Lost the house. The one I kept afloat for 3 years. The one I poured thousands into." She didn't say I'm sorry. She didn't say we were wrong. Just we need help. I didn't reply. Instead, I drove by the old place. Sure enough, the for sale sign was planted out front, crooked in the winter wind. A neighbor saw me. "Did you hear?" she asked. "Your brother's working at the grocery store now. Your dad's been in and out of interviews. Your mom, she looks tired." I nodded. Did I feel guilty? Honestly, no. Just tired. Tired of carrying people who never once looked down to see if I was still standing. At home, I found the old family album buried in the closet. Photos of us at Disneyland. Birthday cakes, matching sweaters on Christmas morning. I studied the faces, all smiling. But I could remember the stories behind every photo. How I paid for the entire trip, but was the one asked to sleep on the floor. How I bought the birthday cake, but wasn't in the pictures. How I held the camera. Always. And then I saw it one photo from years ago. I was maybe 9. Holding Brandon's hand at the zoo. He was crying, scared of the gorilla exhibit, and I was smiling like it was my job to protect him. Maybe that's where it started. Maybe that's when I decided my worth came from how much I could carry. I closed the album, put it back on the top shelf. Later that week, I got another postcard. This one from Mom. Postmarked from a tiny motel 2 towns over. "We miss you. We were wrong. Please come home." She underlined home twice, but they had already shown me what home meant. It was a place I funded but never belonged, a stage I built but never stood on. I put the postcard in a drawer. Didn't throw it out, but didn't respond either. I'd said everything I needed to say with silence. People think revenge is loud, but sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just not showing up anymore, letting the hole they dug speak for itself. A month later, I booked my own trip, not a cruise. Just a quiet cabin near the mountains, no group itinerary, no matching shirts, no one demanding anything from me, just trees, wind, time. One morning, I stood at the edge of a frozen lake, no phone in my pocket, no voices behind me, just me. Finally, I breathed in the cold air, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like someone's son, or brother, or savior. I felt like me, and it was enough. Have you ever felt like a guest in your own family? Like no matter how much you give, you're always one step outside the circle, good enough to help but never enough to be included. I used to think silence meant peace. Now I know it can mean survival, because sometimes walking away isn't giving up, it's choosing yourself. So tell me, Has there ever been a moment when you realized the people you'd drop everything for wouldn't even hold the door open for you? If so, you're not alone. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to write your own postcard, one not filled with guilt, but with truth.